What I think we all predicted is now happening. China is taking over the world automotive market. It's happening in slow motion, so it's kind of more difficult to spot, and we get caught up as human beings in the minutiae of the day-to-day. But if you look at the overall picture now, we can see based on exports over the past 3 months, BYD and China are slowly or quickly, depending on how you want to look at it, taking over the global automotive market. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you BYD's sales over the last 3 months and EV sales in China, how China has, dominated the global electric car market. Here's the most important point, probably 60% of all EVs sold over the past 3 months, 60% of them were sold in China. Now, as far as I'm aware, there were basically no EVs sold in China that were made somewhere else. So all the EVs that were sold in China were made in China. Not so for everywhere else. And the interesting thing is here, China has never been a large exporter of cars, and all of a sudden it now is. Probably what's scariest about that is if you look at the trajectory of BYD's electric car sales, BYD and Aeon, put them together and they're just a formidable powerhouse. From January to March of 2023, 2.5 million EVs were sold worldwide. EVs accounted for 70% of that share, plug-in hybrids 30%. However, the Chinese market accounted for 60% of all EVs sold worldwide. This is an increase of 26% versus the same quarter last year. So we're in basically a recession. EV sales are still up 26%. That's pretty impressive and compelling, showing you where the entire automotive industry is going. But even more significant to the point is this. Chinese automakers are starting to dominate in China. Honda and Toyota, they're in big trouble. Honda sales down 40%. Toyota is down 25%. Honda said its sales in China, it said this in January of last year, its sales in China would make or break the company. Well, consider them officially broken because they're not only losing market share in the US, China, they're also losing it in many other countries worldwide at a very rapid pace. It's quite scary to think of. I wouldn't want to be a Honda investor right now. Dump your stock, please. Oh, I didn't say that. I can't recommend you. I don't have an official license to recommend what stocks you do or don't buy. But personally, I'd be jumping off the Honda train right now. In Q1 of 2023, China exported 775,000 vehicles. 775,000. That's equivalent to more than 15% of China's automobile production. And those numbers are changing at a scary pace. They're going up every single month. It's like a constant BYD-like trajectory. That represents an 87% increase in export volume compared to Q1 of 2022, where only 413,000 vehicles were exported. If we see the same increase in the next quarter, I'm talking Q1 of 2024, another 87%, what are we going to be looking at? About 1.4 million? Next year, the following year, 2.8 million. How long does it take before China is making most of the world's vehicles? Because remember, around 1/3 of the world's cars are sold in China. So if China dominates and owns its own market already, it already owns 1/3 of the market. How long before it owns 50% of the market? And then 60%. It seems to be happening. Fortunately, one nation is trying to prevent this. Honestly, it's not Europe. Europe are too concerned about if they break off with China, what will happen. It's the United States. And it is a big risk what they're doing, but they have no choice. Of the vehicles that China exported, 30% of them were electric cars. BYD exported 2,600 EVs in Q1 of 2022, so not many. However, that number changed drastically. Look at this number, 2,600 in Q1 of 2022, 38,722. That's a 14-fold increase in 12 months. If there's another, say, 10-fold increase, that means BYD will be distributing or selling 3.87 million vehicles, EVs, worldwide in a year's time. Will that happen? No, but BYD does plan on selling 3.5 million EVs this year. Next year, I think they plan on 5 million. Where are a lot of those going to go? outside of China, of course. BYD sold 104,346 fully electric cars globally in April. That doesn't include their plug-in hybrid sales. In the first 4 months of 2023, BYD have sold 762,371 EVs and plug-in hybrids. That's crazy in comparison to the first 4 months of last year. BYD says it aims to sell 3.6 million cars this year. And as you can see, a lot of those will be sold outside of China. So what are BYD's best-selling cars? Well, BYD sold 42,200 of the Chin and 39,000 of the Yen. Now, if you're not sure what those cars are, I've made videos about both of them. I'll put links in the description if you want to check them out. Of the Yen, BYD sold 39,000, of which many of those were not in China because the Yen is also the Atto 3. They also sold 35,836 of the Song, which is an increase year on year of 42.7%. The Dolphin, well, it's selling incredibly well and it's about to blitz the European car market. They've got a modified Dolphin that's being sold over there. They've changed it, big change. It's going to make it a way better car. The European version should be the Chinese version as well. I think the Chinese will be going, hang on, we want this one, it's better. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description to my video about the changes to the European version, which will likely also be the Australian version as well. It's just a way better car based on a couple of small changes. Dolphin sales, 30,462 last month. But so far this year, BYD has delivered 153,000 Dolphins. Sales of the Han are really struggling, and the Han is already on sale in Europe, but people just aren't really buying it. It's too expensive over there, and people in China aren't really buying it either. So BYD delivered only 14,000 of those, which is almost flat year on year. The Tang as well is doing surprisingly not as well as you might expect. Whether that's to do with the videos about the fires that it's been involved in, I don't know. But I think it could be quite a good car. Reviews in Europe say it's good. I'm not sure, I haven't driven it. However, BYD sales of the Tang were only around 12,000 per month over the last 3 months, and then 8,700 in January. So it means there's a total of around 40,000 sales for the whole 4 months of the start of the year. The BYD Frigate, which is a new plug-in hybrid from the company, increased sales versus the last month. And to give you an idea here, you got 5,000 in January when it was first. And to give you an idea of how the Frigate has been received, in the month of December when it was revealed, it sold 2,000. At the end of the month of January, there was 5,000 deliveries, 6,000 the following month in February, 8,000 in March, and 10,000 in April. That's doing really well. BYD Seal. The Seal, I've got to say, this is like, okay, imagine you got the number 1 draft pick and you picked someone and they ended up being a bust. Well, the Seal is so far a bust. BYD delivered 6,600 in January and then 6,200 in April. Sales are actually significantly declined versus last year. The Seal has just gone on sale in Europe. The UK, Australia will get them as well. Maybe that'll give a bit of a boost to Seal sales, but realistically, it's a direct competitor for the Model 3. Reviews for it say it's not quite as good as the Model 3. It's no cheaper. There's not really any compelling reason to get a BYD Seal, in my opinion. The other BYD models, though, yeah, definitely worth looking at. BYD has another car called the Chaser, and sales of the Chaser were up 163% versus the same month last year. BYD delivered 5,400 Chasers in the month of April. The Seagull just went on sale. BYD has delivered 1,500 Seagulls already. Now, that's meant to be the car that will get sodium-ion batteries by the end of the year, meaning they'll be able to introduce a cheaper version. BYD said it got, I believe, 20,000 orders within the first 48 hours, but it did discount the car within the first 24 hours of it going on sale. The cheapest model is $10,000 US. I think that's a really good price for what looks to me as though it's a brilliant car. Unfortunately, it's not coming to Australia. You probably heard about the Denza brand. BYD own the Denza brand. They own 90%. Mercedes-Benz own 10%. It used to be a 50-50 joint venture, but Mercedes basically dumped the majority of their own stock. They sold 80% of their stock. So now BYD essentially owned the company. And since they've owned it, they've started making cars again. The Denza, it was revealed in October of last year, and sales have ramped up for the Denza. It's doing pretty well, selling around 10,000 per month over the past 2 months. And over the first 4 months of this year, they've sold around 35,000 Denzas. So what about the entire month of April? Well, BYD sold 211,000 EVs and plug-in hybrids together in April. That's an increase of 98% versus April of last year. BYD are just an absolute powerhouse. Just looking at their sales from April, beginning in April of last year, ever since then, they've just hit this incredible roll and they don't seem to be stopping anytime soon. I believe by 2030, Tesla and BYD will be the two biggest automakers on the planet. Remember, if you'd said that about Apple and Samsung when it comes to mobile phones, right when Nokia and BlackBerry were the two dominant players, people would have thought you were idiots. But disruption happens fast. Thank you for watching.